What is going on, YouTube? We are back with another freaking banger, bro. Stay all the way to the end because I'm going to be breaking down why finding fulfillment in the journey rather than focusing on the end goal will get you to the end goal faster than emphasizing the end goal itself. So let's get right into the video. Make sure you don't miss a beat. So last night, after I finished up client calls, I had about 6 calls last night, and I realized, like the most fulfilling feeling is doing the work itself. Once my day was over, I was like watching back all my client recorded calls. I have all my client check-in calls recorded. And so I'm just rewatching them and I'm realizing that I love just watching the client calls. I love just hearing about my clients. I love just hearing about the process and how it's been working for them. And I'm realizing like what I actually like is the fulfillment of helping people, right? And I think with any goal, when you stop attaching yourself from the end outcome itself and you rather tie your why to the journey, the process, and the person, not just you're becoming, but that the world around you is evolving into because of you and what you're working towards, that is what brings the true fulfillment. And so shortly after I was watching that, I saw a quote by somebody that said, he was telling a story about an old folktale where basically the, samurai or some old dude, I don't know, bro, all the deets. I just know that the quote was, the younger dude was asking the older dude, like, what's the whole purpose of life? And he was like, oh, to like become a better version of yourself, right? And he asked him the question, like, how long is it going to take me to get to this X goal, right? And he was like, well, it's going to take about 10 years. And then he said, well, what if I work double as hard and, I do double the work to try to get there faster? Like, how long is it going to take then? And the old dude's answer was 20 years. And the younger dude was confused. And he was like, what do you mean? Like, shouldn't it take half the time? And this is like where the light bulb in my head went off. And he said, the older guy said to him, he said, the reason it's going to take longer is because if you have two eyes and one eye is focused on the end destination, the end goal, and the other eye is focused on the work, then you only have half the vision. And like, bro, it unlocked so much for me. Like, it's so true. When you were focusing on a goal and one half of you is focused just on the results, the outcome, the ideal setting, what's going to come from, this process, the benefits, you only have the other half, the other eyeball, right, to focus on the work itself. And it was such an opening quote. Normally these sorts of quotes are like in one ear and the other. What the heck? The thing's loud. And it really unlocked some things for me because I think so many times in life we get caught up in focusing on the end result, right? Focusing on where we want to go. And it takes our vision away from the work itself. And I realize that a lot of times we're focusing on, oh, we have to do the next thing. We have to do the next thing. And for me, it's like, okay, I have to do this client fulfillment work. I have to do, management work, right? Like I have to make sure that all my clients have what they need. I have to work on additional projects. I don't have to, I get to, I want to, right? But I think so many times we put our attention on the next big thing, getting the project done, just checking off the list, and we take all our fulfillment and attention away from the current moment and attacking the goals that we want to actually attack. Hope this truck just gets out of here, bro, so he doesn't ruin my YouTube video, bro. I don't want that in the background. Whatever, we're gonna make do, all right? So basically, that quote unlocked some things for me, and I started to think about it this morning. I often listen to these podcasts or videos or inspirational things in the evening time, and I wake up the next morning and I find myself having just pondering thoughts around, like me pondering around what I heard the other day, and then it relates to my own life, right? And so I started to think like, wow, all the times in my life when I achieved something substantial, when I achieved a goal that I set out for myself, that was the most fulfilling thing itself. Like working towards achieving it and setting out that I was going to achieve it, not achieving the thing. And I had this pop in my head as I was on my way here. When I was in high school as a freshman, I loved basketball. The only thing I wanted to do was just get playing time on my high school team. I was sitting at the end bench on the freshman team, getting 0 to 2 minutes per game. I was straight garbage, bro. It was embarrassing, right? But I didn't care about it being embarrassing. I just wanted to actually get playing time because I knew that I loved the work and playing so much. And I told myself, like, yo, I'm going to be at the point one day soon where I'm going to be a starter on the varsity team, right? And I was just thinking through, as I started to work, and in the summertime I got better, and then eventually, as a starter on the varsity team. And like, it was just, aside from the whole thing, I remember when I was that age, being like, once I'm on the varsity team, I'm starting, then it's going to feel fulfilling. And thinking back on it now, I could care less. Like, when I think back about the memories about what I had for my basketball team, it wasn't about the game. Like, it was cool and whatnot, being on the court, especially when I was sitting on the bench the whole time. But what I really think back to, I think of the memories I had and the fulfillment I found from that process, was being at the YMCA for 12, 15 hours a day, or being in the weight room 2 or 4 hours a day, doing all these things, being at the track, running, doing sprints, doing the work itself, bro. Like, I didn't ever find fulfillment, even though it might have felt cool in the moment. I never found fulfillment from the result and the goal. I found fulfillment, especially looking back, from the work I was putting in, the person I was becoming. And like, that's just something that always resonates with myself personally. Like, I always just think back to that. I actually haven't thought about that in a while, but I thought back to it like, like, I could care less. Like, even when I tell stories or I think back to it, I don't care about being on a team or playing. What I really care about is the fact that, like, I accomplished the goal I set out to accomplish, and I set it on my mind, like, I'm going to make this happen. And I did, right? And that's just like an example. But like, you find fulfillment in the work itself. You don't find fulfillment in the results. Just like with the other day, I had this thought pop up in my head with like my coaching business, right? Like I told myself, yeah, one day I'm gonna have this fitness coaching business. And as I started to actually scale it up, I started to actually make profit from it and take on a bunch of clients, help more people. It wasn't the end result that was fulfilling for me was the fact that, over a decade ago, I actually told myself, like, I'm going to grow this online fitness coaching business and make my career around this one day. And I just had that like thought pop back in my head, like a similar, like, wow, it's really the fulfillment of like, aside from the successes I've had in my business, aside from the people I've been able to help, the team members I've been able to add on to also work for me. In addition to all that, the most fulfilling feeling is knowing that, like, yo, I actually wanted to build this business around my passions, and I did that. And the person I became along the process was the main thing that I got from it, right? And I think it's like that with any goal, anything you set out for yourself. If you have that one eyeball set out on the end goal, on the end destination, it's good to have big goals, big expectations for yourself, because you want to almost, like when you're on the highway, for example, this is maybe an analogy that you might make sense to, hopefully. You're on the highway, you see this sign a mile up the road. Hey, exit's here, right? If you're focusing the whole time on that sign and the exit, eventually you're going to like lose focus of the road, right? In the driving of the car, bro. And then you boom, crash. Insurance is not going to be happy. Neither will your medical bill, hopefully. That doesn't actually happen. But at the same time, right? Like if you're only focused on the current moment, then you're so locked in the road, you're not going to make any mistakes. And obviously you want some of that focusing on that next sign coming up so you don't lose track of where you're at. But I think so many times we focus just on that next sign. We focus on the exit sign. We're not focusing on the road in front of us, brother. And when you realize that if you can put more attention on what's right in front of you right now, you can focus on what the actual work you're doing right now is. You find the passion, the fulfillment, and enjoyment in the work itself. And as a byproduct, you end up just naturally taking that exit, bro. It's like when you go on a drive for 30 minutes and you've probably driven this route the same time, right? A bunch of times, right? And you just subconsciously take the exit and you get home, right? It's like because you're so caught up in the current moment of driving in the vehicle, bro. And you still end up getting there. And you probably get there more efficiently, less stress, whatever, because you're not thinking about these things. And I think so many times, like, we just try to focus on that end result and we lose attention from what we're working on in the moment and the person you're becoming and the ability to, get there, right? And I think it's like that with any goal. Literally, if you want to build muscle, right? Like I help my clients build lean muscle mass naturally, right? All these people, I tell them like, yo, stop focusing on just that goal. Like it's important to set this high expectation for yourself and you envision yourself as that individual. Focus on the work, focus on the person you're becoming along the process because it creates this positive feedback loop where you're seeing progress and that's great. But it's more so about the person you're becoming, the work you're doing that is allowing you to expand the horizon of your mind of what's actually possible for you in your life. And that carries over to all avenues of life. Now, I was on a client call with a different client the other day, yesterday actually, and he, before my evening calls where I was rewatching them all, and he was telling me like how fitness is opening up a lot of things for him. I'm like, dude, this is why I love what I do because literally fitness changed my life for the better. Like, yo, I got into fitness because I wanted to get jacked. I wanted to build muscle. I wanted to be 250 lean and all these like things I used to set up for myself. And pretty soon I shifted away from actually focusing on the goal because I just loved the journey and the fulfillment of it so much. And I realized that every single time I went to the gym, every single time that I followed through with the things that I did not feel like doing that were uncomfortable, bro, I became better. I developed as a man and my character traits improved. I was able to help more people through these things, right? And I think that the people I've worked out with growing up, friends, family, people that just stopped going to the gym entirely, I don't know for certain what's going on in their mind, but I think that a lot of them focused on like the end result and didn't focus on finding fulfillment in the work itself. And I think that's the reason that people like don't follow through with their goals because they're so end focused. They're so goal focused. Like as soon as I get the goal, I'm going to feel fulfilled, bro. That's going to vanish in a rapid second. So you need to find fulfillment in the journey itself. Like, and it's so crazy. Every time I hop on here and I post a YouTube video, every time that I'm trying to figure out like what's the best video idea, like what's the best topic to speak on, I can never get my message across. But every time I'm just like, yo, I can't believe I had the opportunity to speak in front of so many of you guys. This is when I literally find fulfillment in the process and the words just flow out. And I don't have topics, like I said, like in a bunch of my videos, I don't have topics. I just, boom, like they flows off the top. And the reason for that is I give a brief couple of seconds into like what I want to briefly touch on, like one word or two words, and then it just all flows out. And when you're consciously focusing on that end goal, you're going to lose focus in sight of the current and what you need to actually accomplish and having fun with it, right? And so like, if you're trying to lose weight, if you want to lose 30, 40 pounds, set that high expectation for yourself. By all means, do that, please. Like that's key is you need to have that vision for yourself. Start to attach that to the person that you already are. So if you think that if you want to lose 40 pounds, for example, I have clients that come to me, they're like, I want to lose 40 pounds in the next 8 months. Okay, boom. I want you to start identifying as that individual that has already lost 40 pounds. And it's probably going to seem crazy, but just start to think of yourself as that person. And then every single time you take action, you're going to identify with the actions that individual would take. He's going to work out more. He's going to eat better. He's going to make different choices, better decisions. He's going to discipline himself more. He's going to follow through on the things that he says he wants for himself in his life. I want these things for my clients, but I can't want them more than you want them for you. And so I tell my clients, like, yo, identify as that individual, but then start taking the work and finding fulfillment in the purpose, or finding fulfillment in the journey, right? Finding purpose in the process. Because guess what happens when you're so end goal oriented, or you just focus on the end goal? You start to get frustrated. You start to get mad. You start to try to rush the process of why isn't this thing happening sooner, bro? It takes time. But if you could just focus on the current and the work itself, then those goals are going to come regardless. And you're going to realize as soon as you hit that 40-pound weight loss goal, like all of the clients I've worked with that have lost 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, have gained 15, 20, 30 pounds of muscle, they all say the same thing. Like I stopped focusing on the goal and I started to just appreciate going to the gym, like feeling good about myself, my confidence coming back, my energy, like my endorphins, like, right? Like I'm going on dates, like I have more confidence to ask chicks out on dates or dudes or whatever. Like it's like, bro, because you're focusing on what you can control and actually liking the thing that you do. And that's why you're seeing results. If you've gone to the gym, and like I used to be in the same position myself for the longest time, I would be going to the gym and thinking to myself, like comparing myself to the next person, thinking to myself, like, how can I put on 20 pounds of muscle in the next 6 months, right? Which is possible, but I'm thinking that way. And in the gym, I'm getting frustrated, I'm getting annoyed, I'm getting pissed off, and I'm not actually enjoying it. So it's creating this friction, and I'm doing less of the work, and I'm getting mad at myself for not having that goal sooner, right? And I think so many times we just waste time focusing on things that are not out of our control, they're in our control, but we have to let them unfold. We have to let them bear fruits. We have to let these things come. And when I say let these things come, let these things unfold, I do not in any means, like in any sense, do I mean wait and just be patient, bro. You have to be patient, yes. But I hate more than anything when somebody says like, you just wait and the thing will come to you. Bro, you have to go to that thing. You have to attack the goal. But on the flip side of that, right? Like you also need to be inside the work itself, and then the end goal comes to you. Because when you do the opposite, you get all lost in your thoughts. You don't take as much action, and you start disassociating, from the person you truly want to become. If you're the person that has this health goal, that wants to lose this weight, that wants to build this muscle, if you're that type of person, then how does that person think? How do they feel about themselves? How do they treat themselves? Do they feel confident about themselves? Do they enjoy the every single day work? Do you think marathon runners, like I have a client that I just posted a client coaching call with him, right? And he does half marathons. He's signing up for an ultra, right? Like, do you think these guys go on their runs, their 5, 10, 15, 20, 30-mile runs? This dude's running 40 miles a week. Do you think he's every week going in there like, oh, I hate running, but like, I'm just going to do it because I'm going to be a better runner? Like, no, he loves it. He finds fulfillment in the work itself. Like, it's his thing. It's just like, it's like that with anything. It's like for me in the gym, I could go in the gym every day for the rest of my life and never get bored of it. But if I'm going in there with the purpose of like, oh, I need to build muscle, I'm going to be hating it the whole time. I'm going to be like, I'm going to be in my own head, like oversexing myself. Not to even mention, like when you have these thoughts, you increase your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, and this leads to elevated fat, like elevated water retention. I'm not getting into all the scientific because that is a big part of it too. You're not going to have the same stimuli and response on your muscle if you're in your own head because you're stressing yourself out and psyching yourself out. But I'm not even getting into the scientific. This is all purely mental on this video, as a lot of my videos are. Because you need the right mindset, the right beliefs about yourself to take the consistent actions that you can apply to getting the skills that lead to the results that you want for yourself. And so like that client of mine that's running 40 miles, 50 miles a week, and by the way, like this is his off season. He's in his just a strength training phase and doing 40, 50 miles a week, which is just nuts to me. I'm not a runner, so like I'm a little bit on the outside looking in. But like that's crazy to me, right? Like this is the off season. Like imagine what he's doing when he's doing ultra marathons. Like how many miles is he running then? Right? Just you can look it up, do the math. It's a lot. It's a lot of pounding on the pavement or the gravel or the grass. But like he's not looking at that end goal. Like it just comes as a byproduct. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm talking to him yesterday. I'm like, dude, like when's the next race coming up? He's like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about doing one. But it's like when I'm asking him about like the process, he's like, dude, I just can't wait to get back out there and get another run. Or like, I got a great workout in. It's like finding fulfillment in the process. Like this client like does what I'm talking about. Like he loves the journey, and this is why he's so successful with what he does, and this is why he's made so much progress. And like this is with it, like this with anything, like any single goal that you set out for yourself. If you actually enjoy what you do, then you attach your why to the person you are and the person you're becoming, not the end goal. And the end goal just comes. Like if you're trying to, chase after a specific dream, right? Like attach yourself to becoming that person that has the dream, not the dream itself, right? And like I don't want to use always business examples because I know a lot of you guys watching are not business owners or entrepreneurs. Some of you guys might be. But every single time that I've tried to focus on building my business and the financial side of things, it never worked out. I never found fulfillment or joy in it. But every single time that I focused on helping more people get into shape, helping more people become the person that they want to become, that's when business started to come to me. And it's so funny. It's all parallel with business, with fitness, with career, with relationships. When you're in a relationship and you tell yourself like, I'm so grateful that I'm able to connect with this person. And you're not thinking about like, oh, like, is this going to work out long term? All that stuff, it always pays off. All the closest friends I have in my life, when I thought about like, oh, like, like, is this something that's going to be in my life the rest of my life? Like, should I be hanging out with them or should I not? Those friendships, like, I don't actually end up experiencing the best from them when I'm hanging out with that person. But when I'm in the presence of that person, I'm like, dude, like, I'm just super grateful to have you as my friend in my life. Like, all my closest friends, I think of them that way. And they're still in my life. They're still like close friends to me. And I think it's just a simple fact of finding fulfillment in the process, in the journey. I need to label this video topic something different because I have like 4 videos I did that are like finding fulfillment in the process or in the journey. So comment if I should. I'm gonna figure out something, but comment if I should change the title to something different. But like, it's such a big factor in any success in any life and any endeavor, right? Because as soon as that goal comes, it rapidly, can't speak right now, it rapidly vanishes. Anytime that you set out this huge goal and you actually achieve it, that thing is gone immediately. And some people hold themselves back because they're just focused on the end thing and they don't ever end up getting the end thing. So it's like, imagine if you could think on a worst case scenario. I think that you can achieve any goal you set out for yourself. I say that in all my videos. But I'd like to also imagine if that goal never actually came to you. Then you spend 10, 15, 20 years working for that goal and you never actually got it. And then you had to look back over that entire duration and say, wow, I never even got that goal. And I was upset, frustrated, just focused on that goal the whole time that I didn't even enjoy the process. Think that through for a second. Because I had that thought myself when I started this business and things almost failed, and then I had to pick it back up and thought that I was going to have to work a regular 9 to 5 job, which I was like, bro, I'm not doing that. But I had these thoughts like, maybe I do, right? And when I started to think that way, it took all my fulfillment out. And I realized, like, I don't even want to be like a size goal. Like, I don't care. Like, I want to be coaching people. I wanted to help fitness. And when I started to attach myself to, like, enjoying the process, like I just mentioned a minute ago, bro, the business just unlocked and started bearing fruits and giving me success. And the success that I wanted. Not just for myself, for my clients to help people. Because that's the reason that fitness changed my life. Is because it helped open a lot of things up for me, mentally, physically, spiritually, helped me get closer to my faith, have all of these things. But it's because I found fulfillment in that process itself, and I actually wanted to become the person that had the things. I'm sure you've heard this saying, become the person that's capable of having the things before you get the things. And then even when you get the things, you don't even care about the things anymore. And you're not going to actually experience that and understand what I'm saying until you have the thing. But you're going to realize, like, it's not that fulfilling. I remember when I was younger, right? I had like no money, and I told myself, like, if only I could have $10,000 cash, like that would be awesome. And then I would have all these feelings of like, wow, like I finally made it. And then guess what happened? I finally had $10,000 cash, and I didn't feel any different. The only difference that I felt was, oh, like I became that person that actually was able to earn that much money, save that much money, invest that much money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I was never actually fulfilled by the result itself. It was just a number in my bank account. And it was really that person I became on the other side of things. Right? And that's just like a small thing. It's just like, anytime that you set out your goal, it's great to have these goals because it's going to help push you. But when you attach yourself to the physical, tangible thing, it's not going to actually stand for that long. Like when I started to build muscle mass, I never actually cared about the physique that I had. Like it was cool, but it's cool and whatnot. But it's like these things all fleek. They're all going to lose their meaning at some point. The thing that really stuck with me is like, yo, I can't believe that I actually willed my way into, following through with the process to build the muscle. Aside from the muscle itself, aside from the physique and the abs and like the stuff that I was at the time accomplishing and still working towards accomplishing, like, like it was really the process itself that brought me the fulfillment. And, I think so many times we just try to focus on the end goal and we don't care about the person we're becoming when it should be the complete opposite. You should be caring about the person you are evolving into, morphing into. You should focus on not being proud because as it says in the Bible, pride comes before the fall, right? And like, you shouldn't think of it that way, but like when you think of it as like, okay, the person I'm becoming is a fulfilling feeling itself. That's where the fulfillment comes, is the person I'm becoming, because I'm unlocking things I didn't even know were possible for me. Maybe you knew deep down that you thought it was possible, but like you don't actually know it's possible until you see that thing. And it's something I briefly touch on in some of my videos. It's like, you're not going to know, and I talk about this on my Instagram. If you don't have it on Instagram, check it out if you want to. It's a J Stroud Fit, and I talk more shorter clips. Sometimes I clip my YouTube videos, throw them on there, but like YouTube is my main platform where I just love talking to you guys. I get these messages across with all the context, or more of the context at least than Instagram is. But like this one I talk briefly on my Instagram, it's like, yo, I just lost my train of thought, bro. Whatever. But like when you find fulfillment in the process itself, that's truly what matters. And so many people, they just waste their time spending it looking for the next thing. And then when that thing comes, it vanishes in a second. And so don't waste your time focusing on things that don't matter, that are going to evaporate instantaneously. Focus on the person you're becoming. This park that I'm at right now, right? This park that I'm recording this video at, a few years ago, I was studying for an examination, right? To be able to go work with, DEXA scans, which for those of you guys that don't know, health sciences to show like your visceral fat, your overall muscle mass, your bone density. I was learning about radiation therapy, all these things, right? And metabolism testing, VO2 max, blah, 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 blah. So I worked in that space for a couple of years, right? And I remember I would come to this park in the summertime and I would study at this picnic table here at this park, right? And I remember always thinking, like, I want to, I can't wait till I have that goal and I work that position and I'm the manager of that business, right? Like I was a manager of one of the locations and like able to work with hundreds of clients was like the best feeling, because it's like, within the span of like 20 to 40 minutes, it was able to help give some person so much data that helps genuinely improve their life with their health and their fitness. And I had people that were coming in that had high blood pressure, that had risk of heart disease, all these issues. And I was able to actually provide them with a solution that gave them information to go address these things. And with coaching, it's a lot different because I'm working one-on-one directly over a long period of time with this person to help them solve these problems. But specifically with that, it's like, okay, within a 20-minute span, I can give this person information that's going to allow them to prevent a fracture of their hip. And bro, I remember while I was working there, shortly before, seriously, bro, all this noise. No, I'm trying to record a YouTube video, bro. Come on now. I'm gonna click that. I'm gonna click that. Maybe not. Maybe not. We'll see. But so I remember when I was studying for that exam, shortly after, I remember, so I remember shortly after studying for that exam, you know, my grandmother fell and had a fracture in her pelvis. So she was in the hospital, and I just remember realizing, like, wow, like if she had this information, and she actually went for the DEXA scan and knew that she had lower than average bone density, she could have addressed these things and prevented her being in the hospital for a few weeks, where she fortunately made it, but a lot of the family thought she was going to pass away, and it's not something to mess around. So, like, the fact that I was able to help people in such a rapid period of time, like 20 to 40 minutes, is crazy to me. And my point of that story is, I would come to this park and I would study for that exam. And now that I think back on it, you know, the reason I still come to this park at times to record content like this is because during that process, it wasn't the exam itself. It was the every single day coming here and studying for hours on end, becoming a better person that actually passed an exam that, like, I didn't think I was capable of passing because it was a lot of difficult information. And it was a lot of information that was out of my scope of practice, right? Like, I didn't go to health science for school. I went to school for business, and I was never in that space of like, okay. And so for me, every time I come to this park, it's really every time I come to this park, it's really just a reminder of the person I became over that summer when I was here studying, because every single day I would come and study for hours and hours and hours on end. And as soon as I passed the exam, it was like, boom, rapid, like, oh, it wasn't that big a deal. Like, it doesn't actually feel that cool. Really, what felt cool was knowing that, like, I worked for that, right? Because I failed the exam the first time, and I passed it. I missed it by like 7 questions out of 150, and I was like furious. So as soon as I passed it the second time, I realized, like, wait a second. It wasn't actually passing, getting the paper and whatnot that was fulfilling. What was fulfilling was like working through it and saying, like, I'm going to pass that and accomplish that goal because I know I have the power. Maybe not yet, but I have the ability to. So I just need to apply myself more. And looking back on it, it's just the work itself is what's most important. So find fulfillment in the process, and you'll get the goal anyways. Don't worry so much about just the goal. Set high goals for yourself, but become the person that can achieve these things. And this will allow you to find the enjoyment of the process. So I hope that helps some of you guys out there. I just wanted to touch on that, you know, like with my business, the exact same thing, right? Like, as I started to look at finding enjoyment in the work and it just started to feel fun, that's when the success came. But when I focused so much on the success, the enjoyment wasn't there, and neither was the success. And same thing with my fitness. When I started to focus on enjoying the process of working out and going to the gym, that's when the results came, right? But when I was focusing on the results, I didn't have the results, and the enjoyment that fulfillment wasn't there. It's like this with anything, bro. Relationships, career, finances, success, business, fitness, entrepreneurship, whatever your thing is, bro. Real estate, like, I don't know. I have friends that have told me stories that they got their first real estate property, and the whole time they thought that, like, as soon as they had the property, they were going to be this specific person, and then, like, it just rapidly vanished, right? And now when I talk to them, what they say is like, I can't believe, like, I did that, right? And even I think of it as like, wow, like, you actually, like, you know, did all these steps, you took all these actions to get the property. Like, that's what's impressive, not having the house, right? Like, as cool as that is, right? It's like the fact that you became that person and you did these things in the first place, because it's an evolutionary cycle of life, right? You're stair-stepping your way to a better version of yourself and being able to help people through that. And that's why I create YouTube videos like that, because all these things I've discussed have helped me become a better person. And so whoever's watching on the other side of the screen, I want you to become a better person and the best possible version of yourself. And you can't do that if you're only focused on the end goal. I'm a huge Celtics fan. I don't watch them as much as I used to, but I love the Celtics. And, like, for those of you guys watching, you know, Paul Pierce, Jason Tatum, all these Celtics greats, right? These guys, I don't know them personally. I haven't talked to them on a personal level, so maybe I'm wrong. But, like, them, I'm huge fans of. Michael Jordan, huge fan. LeBron James, if you're a LeBron fan, like, please unsubscribe. Like, bro, these people were not focusing on, like, yeah, they were focusing on making it to the NBA and doing these things, but, like, they had the love of the game, right? They had the purpose and passion. They loved what they did. And even if they couldn't go to the NBA, they still would probably continue to play because they loved it so much, right? And it's like that with anything. I had friends growing up that wanted to be professional bodybuilders and are not professional bodybuilders, or maybe one day they will be, but they still consistently train. They consistently eat like they're going on a prep for a bodybuilding show. And some of them are doing, you know, amateur, they're not actually pros, but they're still doing the work. And why is that? It's because they find fulfillment in the process. And these dudes have physiques that are insane, that have the results, and they just love what they do. And after time, they just, I think, I don't know, personally, but I think a lot of them just detach themselves from the end goal and they end up getting the results anyways. Any goal that you set up for yourself, if you attach yourself to becoming a better person in that process, then you end up getting the results that you want. And even if you don't get 100% of the results, you get way better results than you would have if you focus on that end goal the whole time. Because you need to be in the present moment and actually focusing on these things. Like my analogy with the car, if you're only focusing on the exit, the off ramp, then you're going to lose track of your vehicle and crash into the guy in front of you, bro. And you're going to rear end his vehicle, and that's not going to be fun. But if you're focusing on where you are and being as efficient as possible in the current moment, you're driving the car, eventually you just subconsciously take that exit and you end up getting to where it is you want to be anyways. So I hope that analogy resonated with some of you guys, and I hope that whoever out there watching focuses on the work itself, finding a purpose and enjoyment from that process. You know, like this is so funny to say that I'm actually saying this. One of my favorite emojis is the loading emoji, and I can't find it. I think they deleted it from iPhone, and if they did, it's just kind of frustrating. But I couldn't find it, and it's just one that says basically like loading, and I love it, bro, because and one of my favorite gifts and stickers. Maybe I'll put it on here right now on the clip. I'll clip it up. But like the reason I love that thing, bro, is because it shows that like, yo, it's just a symbol of you never are fully gonna get to the point you want, right? Like it's the process that's actually fulfilling. It's not the end goal. Because as soon as that screen loads up, bro, right, as soon as this video is over with and you exit out of it, right, like it's over with. In a rapid second, it's vanished. But if you find fulfillment in what I'm actually saying, right, and you actually apply it to your life, or if you find fulfillment in the work itself and any goal, then you become the person you want to become anyways, and you achieve the things you want to achieve in the first place. So if that helps you, great. Drop a comment below and let me know like if there's any sort of value. If not, then make sure you follow me on Instagram at JaceRockFit, and I'll see you guys in the next YouTube video, because you truly should be bettering your life. And the best way to better your life is to take consistent action. And the first action you should be taking is hit me with it. Follow on Instagram so I can draw more value for you guys. And if it's not valuable, if it's horrible content, let me know in the comments, because truly I want to help as many people as I can. And so if my content is not hitting home, if it's not helping you, I would rather know so that I can make better content. And it's not hard feelings, bro. And I'll see you guys in the next video.